Everybody, welcome back to another episode of Shifty's 49ers Talk. In this video, we're going to preview the Week 12 matchup between the San Francisco 49ers and the New Orleans Saints. There is a lot to talk about in this matchup. Let's not waste any time. Let's jump right in. Alrighty guys, so as you can see, I am not in my usual setup. Currently, I am traveling, but I just had to do a preview video for this upcoming matchup. Quick note, I will not be able to stream the Saints and 49ers game, unfortunately, just due to a limited availability of the game here. So basically the quality of the stream just wouldn't be nearly what it was. I'd be on a crazy delay. Quality wouldn't be great, and I really didn't want to do that to you guys, but rest assured I will be 100% streaming the 49ers and the Dolphins, which is going to be a great game next Sunday after that. So stay tuned for that, and there will be, of course, videos coming out previewing that game too. But back to the Saints and 49ers. These teams, former division rivals, believe it or not, but that's going back many years. What I want to start with this game is I'm going to look at the 49ers offense against the Saints defense. That's coming right up. Ultimately, heading into this game, the 49ers are favored by 9.5 points over the New Orleans Saints. And I actually think that's being a little bit generous to the 49ers. Offensively, the 49ers, 8th in yards per game, 12th in points per game. Compare that to the New Orleans Saints, who are 13th in defensively in yards allowed per game. Now, points allowed per game, the Saints are actually just in the bottom quarter. They are 25th overall in the league. Now, that's a little bit skewed because the Saints have actually had a lot of really bad luck with regards to pick sixes and things like that. If you look back to the Saints game, especially against the Arizona Cardinals, just in that game alone, 2 interceptions returned for touchdowns, and that goes against the defensive numbers, unfortunately for them. But overall, this is going to be a really, really interesting matchup. Of course, Kyle Shanahan, head coach of the 49ers, calls the offense with Anthony Lynn. Saints, Dennis Allen, head coach, calls the defense there. And there's a lot of really, really talented players on both sides. Now, if we look at the 49ers offense, Jimmy Garoppolo, 3 games in a row without an interception or a turnover. And that's me knocking on wood because I do not want that to change at all. Great to see Garoppolo really just limit his turnovers and, of course, putting up significant amount of touchdowns too. So, of course, we want to keep that going. I think a big thing in this game, however, is going to be just establishing the run, because if you look at the Saints, their secondary is stacked, especially with Marshon Lattimore coming back from injury. You look at their starting secondary, Tyrann Mathieu at safety, you have Marcus May at safety, Paulson Adebo, one of the cornerbacks, and then Marshon Lattimore. So really, really talented there. If the Niners are able to basically establish the run, not only do you mitigate what those guys can do, but the Saints also have a pair of incredible pass rushers who are also coming back from injury. Of course, Cameron Jordan, and then you also have Marcus Davenport. So if we are able to establish the run with McCaffrey, with Elijah Mitchell, maybe as the game goes on, we get Jordan Mason a little bit involved. He's a very physical runner. Of course, you're going to see Debo run the ball as well. But if we can get success in the run game, it really mitigates what a lot of their best players defensively can do. Now, one of the big key guys in this game for me is going to be Demario Davis. We've seen in recent weeks, George Kittle has had a resurgence, a number of touchdowns, some big time, receiving games. Demario Davis, to me, one of the most underrated players in the NFL. He is a great linebacker. Don't be surprised to see him flying around the whole field and, of course, trying as best as he can, at least, to lock down George Kittle. I do think, however, you may see him help out that pass rush. Maybe Demario Davis comes down even to help limit the run game. Maybe they put Tyrann Mathieu or Marcus May to help cover a guy like George Kittle. Overall, though, I think the Niners will be able to move the ball. It's not going to be a 30-plus output, of course, I don't think offensively for the Niners. I'm looking maybe more like 24, 27 points ideally, but the Niners offense has really hit its stride, and it's really just done a great job all game long of putting up points. I mean, they put up 38 points on the Cardinals. This Saints defense, however, is a completely different beast. So When I look at this, I think advantage 49ers when it comes to the Niners offense, Saints defense, but not by a large amount. Now coming up next, we're going to look at the 49ers defense up against the New Orleans Saints offense. Let's now talk about the matchup between the 49ers defense against the Saints offense. Now the 49ers defense, yards allowed per game, number 1 in the NFL. Points allowed per game, number 3. So this Niners defense has really hit its stride. Of course, the Niners defensively have not allowed a single point in the second half in the last 3 games. Looking at the New Orleans Saints offensively, they're 10th in terms of yards per game, and then they're right around middle of the pack in terms of points per game. Offensively, the Saints do have a number of weapons. In recent weeks, we've seen the rookie wide receiver from Ohio State, Chris Olave, has really broken out. Dalton and Olave getting a really good connection going there in New Orleans. Dalton himself is coming off by far his best game of the year last week against the LA Rams. 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. So the 49ers are really going to have to disrupt Andy Dalton. If you look at the 2 games before the Rams, he didn't play well. Only 1 or 2 touchdowns, and he threw 3 interceptions. So key of this game is going to be able to get pressure on Dalton because we know he can get mistakes. Now, what are the Saints going to do to counter that? So we know the 49ers have in the past struggled when it comes to defending the screen passes, and the Saints have one of the best running backs in the NFL when it comes to that part of the game, and that's Alvin Kamara. He is really good. The Niners, especially linebackers, Fred Warner, Greenlaw, Alshire, are going to have to be on their game to slow down a guy like Kamara. Of course, we've talked about Chris Olave has really broken out in recent weeks. Also, Jarvis Landry has actually played pretty well too. So the Niners will have their hands full against the Saints offense. And last but not least, when it comes to the Saints offense, you can't talk about their offense without talking about Taysom Hill. Of course, he's the all-around offensive weapon. He can throw the ball, he can run the ball. And I think with the Niners, the key here is going to be really just playing effective football on first down defensively. Because if you can get those Saints into 2nd and long, 3rd and long, they're not really going to be able to throw all those different plays at you. When it's 3rd and 10, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 12, you're really limited in terms of the playbook about what you can do. Compared to 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, the Saints can do a lot of different things and throw a lot of different looks. Their offensive coordinator, Pete Carmichael, has been there for years and years, really studied under the likes of Sean Payton. And it will be a very interesting matchup how he does, of course, against the 49ers defensive coordinator, DeMeco Ryans. So I think what's also going to help the 49ers here is that starting Pro Bowl center Eric McCoy for the Saints is not going to be here. So one of the things that the Niners had struggled a little bit is with the interior of the defensive line. Givens played pretty well last week against the Cardinals. He and Ridgeway and Spence and McGill are going to have a good game because I don't think Armstead's going to play. Of course, Kinlaw probably at least a few weeks away if he plays this season at all. So if we can dominate the interior of the offensive line for the Saints, that way it can really mess up what they want to do, force Andy Dalton to roll out of the pocket, and then bam, Nick Bosa, Drake Jackson, Amenahud, those guys can get after Dalton. Even if they don't sack him, force him into some errant throws, and then allow our guys to intercept Dalton. So with the 49ers defense, guys have been playing really well. Deommodore Lenoir playing really well. Charvarius Ward doing his thing. Jimmy Ward, first interception of the year. Hufanga, Gibson. The whole defense is playing at an elite level. One thing that I have been noticing, though, is that the pass rush hasn't been consistent enough, in my opinion, when the Niners want to be considered that elite defense. Of course, they are ranked in a very elite position in the NFL, but to consistently be in that conversation, I'd like to see a little bit more pressure. Doesn't sound like Samson Ebukam's going to go, but of course we want to see Nick Bosa have a big game, but I really want to see some of the other guys step up, get consistent pressure, and shut him down. Now, with all that being said, I do think that the Saints are going to be able to put up some points here. Ultimately, I think they probably score anywhere from maybe 17 to 21 points. So I think this game is going to be a lot closer than what some people think, including Vegas. Again, Vegas has the 49ers favored by 9.5. I think that's a little bit of a stretch, but we'll see. So overall, when it comes to this game, I think one of the key things too is going to be the special teams. Can the Niners special teams make a play? Can the Saints special teams make a play? That could be one of the determining factors. Overall, though, I'm going to give like a slight prediction here. I just think that the 49ers have a little bit too much talent for the Saints to handle, especially when you look at the 49ers defense, how well it's been playing. I think the Saints offense is incredibly inconsistent. They looked great last week, but before that, it's really hit or miss. So really, I think that the 49ers are going to win this game. I'm going to say something along the lines of 49ers. I'll say 27. Saints 20. I think it's going to be a really fun game. If the Niners can get this win, they move to 7-4 on the year, 4-game winning streak, and then they head into a big matchup against the Miami Dolphins. One thing, though, the 49ers cannot do, and this is actually something that's happened before if we look back to 2019, is you have a really, really big win, division win, and then the next week you come down and you have a letdown. So if we saw that in 2019, the 49ers beat the Cardinals. The next week they had that really bad loss to the Falcons at home. So hopefully the 49ers, they don't allow that to happen. They come away with the big win, keep their foot on the gas, don't underestimate anybody, and come away with the sound win. So that's it, guys, for my preview of the Saints at the 49ers. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments section below. Do consider liking the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. I really appreciate everyone always checking out the videos. It really means a lot. I know I haven't been doing a lot lately, but more is coming, and definitely I will be streaming the Niners-Dolphins game. That's going to be just an absolute bonanza, in the words of former 49ers announcer Joe Starkey. So thank you very much, guys, for watching the video. I'm going to say 2 things before I go, and that's going to be the butt counts. I'm going to catch you guys on the flip side.